Hello everyone, my name is Jared Answorden. I'm here to tell you a story today titled Opa Engineers His Own Prison Break. Now it sounds a little worse than it is. My Opa, or grandfather in the Dutch, now he lived in Holland up until the end of World War II, a little bit after. Now he was only in his 30s when the war started and he owned his own business. But of course that meant he had to work with the Nazis. They forced him to do construction projects for him. Now he in turn turned around and used that to spy on them and pull shenanigans to keep people in the country, get them work permits, all kinds of crazy stuff. But that's not what this story is about. This is about after the war. See, immediately after the liberation, a lot of people were arrested on being suspicious of being collaborators, which, on the surface he was. And it was a little hard to prove he wasn't because, honestly, most of his cell, the resistance, did not survive the war. Thankfully, they were able to prove it and they released him. Now, before the war, he'd already been planning to move to Utah. He was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, since before the war, and wanted to move here where there were more people with the same faith as him. Of course, the war changed those plans. He was unable to leave, and the fact that Hitler viewed the church as a particularly American church did not help things either. But he did his best. He battled through the war and helped where he could. Now, at this point, he has his passport ready and was getting ready to come over, in fact, to escort home a missionary who had come to Holland and fallen ill. And as he was about to go, they were in Utrecht, and he was rearrested. Illegally, as it turns out, but he was rearrested for being a collaborator. Turns out this was all because of one of his enemies from the war, an actual collaborator with the name of Zacharias Schleifer. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, but that's as close as I can get. And he'd accused dozens of people of being collaborators in an effort to save his own skin. It didn't work. He ended up dying in an asylum a few years later after being determined dangerously incompetent and unstable. But at the time, he was a big problem. Now, this soon after the end of the war, there wasn't room in regular prisons for all the people, and so he was put in a camp. And, he did what he could. He had my Oma, my grandmother, bring up his best suit so he could look presentable, and just waited. And they told him, you'll be released tomorrow. Now, somehow he didn't believe them. He couldn't tell why, but he did not believe what they were saying. But he pretended he did. And so the next morning he got up, put on his best suit, and went out to speak with the warden. Now, he got up to the assistant, whose back was turned. He looked on the desk. What's that? His passport. It's like, well, it's my passport, isn't it? So he grabs it, puts it in his bucket, and then just stands there and is like, has my car come? The assistant doesn't, glances at him and goes like, no, your car's not here. He's like, well, then I will go find him. Have a good day. And he just walks straight out. Now, presumably the assistant assumed, he was a lawyer or something, because lawyers were in and out of that place all the time. Here's this guy, well-looking, distinguished, in a full suit. He's like, oh, must be a lawyer. And so out he walks down the street, just, casual stroll, this Sunday afternoon walk. Police car passes him by. Just, no reaction. Another one. And then the prison alarm goes off. Big, loud alarm. It's like, well, that's probably for me. He still doesn't panic, just keeps walking, and then the first lane coming off of the highway there, he just turns on the lane, just keeps walking. Eventually he comes to some trees, lies down behind them, and takes a nap. When he wakes up, it's died down a bit, and so he keeps walking. He gets to Llewellyn, where he had some friends and stayed there. Now, the rest of this story is fairly straightforward. He stayed in hiding in Llewellyn for a few months, and then just casually went down to Belgium, caught a plane to England, from there a boat to New York, and then finally made it here to Utah, where he settled. Now, what's the point of this story? Some of there isn't so much one, because it's all about family and remembering where it comes from, but also it's good to remember the example of Opa. Keep your cool, don't panic, and generally you can muddle through things, even if you're thrown in prison. I hope you enjoyed that story. My name is Jared Answorden, and have a nice day.